Welcome back, guys, to Final Fantasy 13, where we push forwards with Sazh and Vanille and turn on all these power switches to finally get this generator in the center started up. Hopefully there's no more stuff to do with the generator after we take care of these two Pulsework soldiers. Or I'm going to continue calling them Pulsework Knights all the time. Let's take them down. So if any of you guys have been following E3 lately, you might have heard of something called Agni's philosophy if you're a big Square-Enix or a big Final Fantasy fan. What looks to be the way that the next gen Final Fantasies will go, if the next gen Final Fantasies see the light of day. Because, you know, that's always like an odd thing to look at, if you know what I mean. It's really an odd thing to think about. We always see Final Fantasy. There's people currently that are kind of like sick of the Final Fantasy series, and that's sad. For example, 13 is supposedly one of the worst games of the series ever, and I need to heal really badly instead of keep talking. And kill this guy with the commando Sazh. Kill him, kill him, kill him. But if you haven't seen it, go check out the video. Just search Agni's philosophy on YouTube. It was listed as a Final Fantasy trailer and could be the possible Final Fantasy 13, in fact. Which, you got to say, is a very interesting thing that they're thinking of Final Fantasy 15 now, when Final Fantasy 13 Versus hasn't come out, and possibly a Final Fantasy 13 Free still hasn't been announced, because this is like the day after the Nintendo conference that I'm making this video. So there could be still more announcements on top of things. I'm not really doing this in the most efficient fashion here, am I? But it's all very interesting. The future of Final Fantasy could be that we look to be playing games that are like the pre-rendered Final Fantasy cutscenes that we've seen for years and years. All the pre-rendered cutscenes that you see in this would be the basic gameplay, the basic game lookalike, and they said it was real-time streaming, focusing kind of like graphics, but they didn't actually have someone playing the game. The video itself was itself a cutscene, so you can't really take them entirely on that. But it looks interesting, plus the setting of it all. I've already looked on forums and seen a lot of hate. It's not traditional Final Fantasy, it's like Middle Eastern, and there was some AK-47s and stuff, but there were dragons and crystals, which crystals are very, very Final Fantasy and all that. There were all these extra things, CP, let's level up our guys very quickly while I talk. Very interesting elements, and one of the things that's the problem with Final Fantasy, if I have to like, blitz, kind of like analyze the series now, is that people are too used to the same old. There's a large stack of the generation, especially PlayStation fans, that are very much stuck on Final Fantasy VII, because Final Fantasy VII came about with the advent, you could say, of let's go up here. Oh, I couldn't even reach. Well, the advent of Final Fantasy coming out for the system. Police car goes by. And so therefore they kind of got stuck on this thing that Final Fantasy VII is the best Final Fantasy ever. And I cannot say that Final Fantasy VII is better than Final Fantasy VIII. It's not better than Final Fantasy IX. It's not better than Final Fantasy X. It was a good game and I very much enjoyed playing it. In fact, it was my introduction more or less to the Final Fantasy series, and then I went backwards from there when Final Fantasy anthologies hit the PlayStation. Literally, Final Fantasy to me has been the only reason to own a PlayStation for years and years until this came out on the Xbox. So, you know, everyone has this different way of looking at things. Can we learn a new skill with anyone? Any one of your trees, Vanille? And I think a departure from what is considered traditional Final Fantasy could be exactly what Final Fantasy needs. Because Square's kind of stuck on fulfilling a need for the same old Final Fantasy, and something different like that with Middle Eastern lilt. And Final Fantasy 12, I think, had like this deserty lilt, you could say. I've missed the switch, haven't I? Let's hit the switch and talk afterwards. But I think a departure from the core gameplay tenets of the series, but you know, keeping the essence of Final Fantasy alive, could do really good wonders to the series.
Hope the wires aren't fried. Aha! It's alive!
Way to go!
Not the only thing we woke up, huh?
We can take him.
We can take him indeed. But the problem is that we've actually awoken... No, don't go that way, Vanille. Think about this way. Oh, treasure chests, in fact. Think about treasure chests. The thing is that, yeah, exactly. Powering other machines. We've got treasure chests and areas to reach back up there. Especially if we leave this area, we're never coming back again. So we're going back up the way we came. And I can talk more about Agni's philosophy with you guys. It's very odd that I've started this episode of Final Fantasy 13 talking about something that's very much the future of the Final Fantasy series, or very much the future of the Final Fantasy games, because the new engine itself is amazing, technically amazing. If it actually does stream gameplay in that fashion, it's going to be insane. Let's wipe out these guys with Blitz, our new ability with Sazh. Look at his Blitz, it's so badass cool. His Blitz is so kick-ass, it's ridiculous. Yeah, Final Fantasy taken away. I mean, this Final Fantasy added more of the guns in it and all that. Like, soldiers with guns have been around for ages, and of course they're always beaten by swords and staffs and magic and all that. But starting to blend the Final Fantasy series with current real-life events and taking them off on a fantasy spin could very much be the way forward for Final Fantasy. Really, the series needs to reinvent itself in some way. Most people think that we want the Final Fantasy 7s of old and all that. There are cries for Final Fantasy 7 remakes in HD and all that, and I would support those. I would very much like to see HD versions of all the Final Fantasies, because, for example, it's money spinning. It's exactly what Square-Enix needs right now. Final Fantasy is in a lull of sales. It's not doing that well as a series anymore, especially due to the production the Final Fantasy game takes. At least Final Fantasy 13-2 didn't take half as much production and got itself a nice lot of sales, so I'm hoping a Final Fantasy 13 free announcement comes out from the Square-Enix camp. Let's pray, because I love an ending to a story. But that's all I really loved from Final Fantasy, is a good story. It doesn't really matter what the setting is. You can do fantasy... Oh, I can't go back up. Ah, I can jump. Jumping is good. Except there's 2 bombs, and 2 bombs are bad. This could end very, very badly for me. Ooh, Blitz, though. Actually, I really need to focus on sync... Whoa! Blitz wipes... Saz's Blitz is amazing. It wipes people out in no time at all. What on earth just happened? Come on, Vanille, get your blast off. And then we'll go to Undermine and do the debuffs that we normally do. Something that blends the real with the fantasy. It really could be the way for Final Fantasy to pave their way back into the hearts of consumers and win back its fan base. Personally, I'm happy anyway. A Final Fantasy game is different than any other game on the market because it's just a giant story being told to you. And something like that, a gamer like me appreciates very, very much. But then there's, as I mentioned before, the generation that's entirely stuck on a game like Final Fantasy VII it came to the PlayStation finally after being a Nintendo franchise. And everyone was like, whoa! And they literally couldn't get over the fact of that is the best the game could ever be, or something around those lines. And that's just not true.
Elevator Master. And just like I planned it.
You planned for them?
Minor hitch.
It's just not true in the end. Final Fantasy could be so much more, so much better. Final Fantasy VII, if you actually examine it, was very bare bones story-wise, I'd say, out of anything. There could have been more to it. Do you understand what I mean? There could have been more meat to it. The gameplay itself was ace, but the scene of gamers has moved on, and turn-based battles isn't exactly something that people really get into anymore. War and Peace, quick Vanille! Heal! Heal! Final Fantasy needs to evolve with the times. And while the times themselves are pretty sad, generic FPS after generic FPS, and I've been a Call of Duty channel in the past, and I don't mind a Call of Duty, I love a generic FPS from time to time, but the landscape of other games available to us out there is so sparse, it's so barren and so poor that a series like Final Fantasy could really take the fall again if they just hit the right combination. You have to bring the nostalgic old fans back while moving on the series in a good, very action-orientated fashion. QuickTime events bring action into cutscenes. I could die right here. This is bad. We should be able to get this guy though with Sazh while we're healing up. QuickTime events are a very good way to get the people who are always in for action involved. But I've always looked at Final Fantasy, and I've always said it to friends, or especially adults that are older than me. I'm 26. I've always said it to like parents and all that. Why don't you play some games? I could give you this Final Fantasy game, or this Phoenix Wright game, or something like that. And the thing about it that I would say to them every time is, oh, my chain bar went away. I didn't say that. This is one hell of a long conversation I'm having with you guys right now. It's very, very one-sided, so leave your thoughts of it in the comment. But I've always said to adults, look, you love reading books, you love watching your TV series, you love watching doing this and that. It's interactive media of a story level that is far surpassing cinema. It's far surpassing a book. It's giving you visual medium with the story. It's letting you play an active participant, a character within it. It's letting you experience it through your own eyes, shape it in the way you want to shape it. And gaming has gone away from that. But it is what I've always looked at gaming as being amazing as. Having that kind of standard, that kind of thing that it brings to the table. When in the future that we've grown up, when I'm an old person, gaming will be literally the art that art is now, that a book is now, a great book is now, like well, look, I'm trying to think of names of great books and now I'm revealing how uncultured I am. Stuff like the Da Vinci Code, which was made into movies, of course, and the movie generation.
Not a problem. Haha.
I have to stop for cutscenes. And the movie generation very much watch their movies and avoid the books, but the books themselves are always better. And that's the point. Games are movies and books rolled into one format. And it's amazing.
Oh, I got this thing figured.
It's absolutely amazing that a format could do that. The depth of a book with the visual eye candy of... Oh, look, we got... Ooh. Can I blitz these guys? Blitz them, quick! Keep their bars up! Keep blitzing, Sazh. Keep blitzing. Actually, it's probably not going to be the best thing to do, is it? We're going to have to attack the Pulsework Soldier head on and kill it off. We're not going to be able to keep the chain bars up on the other, or we're not actually going to be able to kill one, which we need to get rid of right away. Because Vanille is being beaten up. Vanille, heal yourself! Heal yourself with a fury! And we need to switch to Undermine and take them on as we would do too. Debuff and chain bar. But yeah, that's more or less my entire rant done and done. What I saw from E3 with the Agni's philosophy was very much the future of Final Fantasy. It's the future of gaming as a medium. We can't just put out endless shooter after endless shooter. We have to do something different. And I'm failing at this fight so miraculously here. And if games like Final Fantasy, games that have long involved stories of 30 to 50 hours, they're really it. They're one of the main things that can get gaming accepted on a larger level. I've always looked at Final Fantasy as that. It's my interactive storybook. And while like larger parts of generations above me don't understand that, they should understand that. It's not like something I'd force on them, but at the same time it would benefit them to understand that games aren't just this visceral media.
Watch and learn, kid.
They're not something just to be seen and played by people mindlessly wanting to shoot people out. They contain such things as depth and storyline that is written better than at least a soap opera, let's put it that way. How many hours are poured into these games? But let's get back on the Final Fantasy 13 playthrough. That's 15 minutes of talking about Agni's philosophy and the future of Final Fantasies and gaming, and man, I went off on some tangents for this episode, didn't I?
Follow the old man's lead.
And I lost my chain bar again, so this is the point where I actually have to focus on the gameplay. I've been failing so far, and I recognise that fact. We're exploring all the bits we can explore, but there's not exactly been that much in the way of
Watch and learn, kid.
treasure chests or anything actually found that's been good for all our time. So we put in a lot of time to find these routes and talk to you guys, but we haven't actually really found anything more than experience for it. Not that experience is a bad thing. Experience is a very good thing. I actually managed to 5-star that fight, so I didn't do it too drastically bad. We were in that fight for 3 minutes though. And treasure chests. Weapons please. Vibrant ooze. You do not understand me, game. I look for rewards. Rewards are good. Right, so we have one more set of ladders to push up there. Unless there was a treasure chest hidden in an alcove up here that I've completely missed. There's the lift back down again. Are you seriously kidding me that this place had no treasure chest? I guess this way was the leading way back up. The shortcut route. But there is something over here to explore. Most gamers don't really think about this though. They probably just activated those switches and went, ah, we're just going to continue onwards. Instead there's this whole area out here that's just like full of stuff to explore. Quick attack again, so we actually meet up with Vanille's actual attack here and we actually have a chain bar to build up. I'm going to keep attacking for now with a commando, otherwise I'm never going to get a chain bar to stay up. Be able to switch to debuffs. De-shell him and de-protect him at once. Final Fantasy 13 is a debuffers game. A de-protect staggered him? Interesting.
We got this, Vanille.
We got this, Vanille. Lovely jubbly. We're getting a nice little segment of Christian points this way as well anyway. What the hell was a passive detector?
Tap a couple keys and...
Yeah, but most gamers would literally carry on forward. And they never think to explore all this terrain that is literally there open for them to explore. Now, no matter how rewarding this terrain is, that might be different stories. Why did they... This looks so deadly. This looks so bad. Oh my god, this looks like death incarnate. This is the first time I'm thinking of using something like this. A Fortizol. I think that we might die otherwise. We need haste and we need to like blitz the hell out of the guys in the front lines. Oh my god, Blitz is so good. Blitz is so good with Fortizol and Bravery and Faith on. Oh my goodness gracious me. And I sounded really, really odd and lame and old then, but blooming hell. That was good.
Watch and learn, kid.
Saz's Blitz is just amazing. That's Deep Protect, thank you, my love Vanille.
We got this, Vanille.
I've seen there's been a lot of Vanille love in the comments, actually. It's strange that there has been, because usually there's always the one character in any JRPG that has the annoying voice or the annoying nature to it.
The old man
The recent Star Ocean being one of those. It had this girl that was always going, K, K, K. Oh my god. And Vanille usually, well, Vanille actually fits that stereotype quite well. But there's been a lot of Vanille love. A lot of love for Vanille. And I've been kind of interested in that. And a lot of questions as to my favourite battle party. And I think I should keep that away for now because we still haven't met someone yet, if you know what I mean. Now, is there more places to experience, more places to explore now the power's up. Or was that it? That was it indeed. We finally explored everything, so we can finally head onward with the actual story. We've explored every little extra bit of terrain that we can muster. Nothing else to explore or imagine or examine. Just forward ho! And a lot of Christian points.
Let's see here.
I'm slightly wondering if my rant earlier wasn't slightly unstructured, but, you know, it's funny when someone actually gives themselves an impassioned speech. Final Fantasy, the community as a whole, is so full of negativity towards everything nowadays. Absolutely everything that Final Fantasy is doing in the future, and games take times to make. Final Fantasy 13 Versus being going for so long is ridiculous, but when it gets here, we all know we're going to have fun with it. Thinking anything else about the game is irrelevant. When it comes, we have fun. We just have to wait and be patient. It's not like a COD franchise where you get a game once a year, every November. We wait for Final Fantasies and then we enjoy more than 3 hours worth of single player gameplay. We enjoy like 50 hours worth of single player game, 100 hours if you want to really do everything that's available to you. Yes, it may not have a multiplayer, but most games don't. Personally, I'd rather buy a great story than a great multiplayer nowadays. There's ebbs and flow in gaming, how you feel towards gaming at a time. I was very much a single player game, then Nintendo evolved a bit more, and then I was very much a multiplayer game. And that was very much like family friendly multiplayer, cooperatives and 4-player split screen, and that was just the time we were living in when the online kind of facets didn't really exist. Then I played World of Warcraft, an MMORPG, for 4 or 5 years, and that was a completely different stint in my gaming life. Moved on to Call of Duties with FPSs, but all the time you could guarantee that when a Zelda was released, when a Final Fantasy was released, when a Star Fox was released, or anything like that, I would cut my time and play these games. These games make gaming. These established series, and I don't mean your numbered incarnations of certain things like a Call of Duty. Your numbered incarnations of, I don't want to attack the Pulsar Soldier actually, I want to attack the little guys. It's far better to get rid of them, the magic casting guys that are actually going to ruin me if I don't do it. Nice bit of damage there, madame. And we're going to need to heal you pretty soon because you're being bashed down by that Pulse Ignite. I'm not exactly the best HP I've ever been on. But now I'm back more or less in a very kind of like cooperative or single player gaming mode. I don't want to play massively multiplayer stuff in a competitive fashion against other people. I want, maybe it's because I'm getting older and I'm mellowing out, but I want to enjoy a great story. And the future incarnations of Final Fantasy excite me on that front. When you're younger, you're looking for more visceral thrills. When you're older, storyline is everything.
You got this, Vanille.
And so we finally push forward towards the door. We finally take on the pack before, after exploring all the powered-on segments of the land. Talking to you guys for God knows how long. It's been a long time in this Let's Play since I've had a full-on talking episode, actually. There's been so many cutscenes. But we're finally going to get moving forward. In fact, we got ourselves a load of Christian points again. Bloomin' hell. I can't stop getting them. It's just like, oh, you want Christian points? I want you to have Christian points too. So we go into the next battle. This isn't going to take too long. With a bit more of an upgrade to our guys. I think I was upgrading medic, wasn't I? Whoops. Oh well, it's fine either way. Stats are stats. But whenever we change to another facet of the party, we're going to have a lot of experience to go through. Bombs it is. Blitz away, sir. What on earth? You attacked the guy, not the sky.
We got this, Vanille.
Vanille, heal me really fast. Oh my god, I went and died.
Lux, finally run out.
I never thought that would take place at this fight here. So these guys took me out. I have no clue how, no clue why, but they did. The bomb exploded, took me out. I really should focus. This is not a game. This is not an episode of Focus. Let's put it that way. E3 is fresh on my mind. Also, the fact that these guys completely went off the way and they self-destruct on literally everything right now. Can't stop them self-destructing, in fact,
Follow the old man's lead.
because they rush. Oh no! If the bombs rush one guy, then they will actually fully restore themselves. They'll get themselves to full HP, and then the bad stuff happens, the death and the damage. So we kind of have to avoid that at all costs happening, but it's very, very hard to avoid. If they go on one guy, I can't help that. The only thing that matters is if I take one guy and Sazh is not that one guy that gets zerged. If he gets zerged, then we're doomed. We're deaf. We're doomed and deaf. Just like now, for example, where we're right near to staggering this guy, but we really need to just heal. Debuff and heal, debuff and heal. It's no wonder they put this as a last pack before you rather than a boss. As a combination themselves, they're actually semi-hard. We already have one debuff on these guys. Let's get D-Protect. We'll switch to War and Peace quickly so you can heal up, madame. And keep that chain bar up. Dual casting and we can get you staggered. One more hit should do it because Vanille's going to start at the same time. And a lot more analysed way to fight that battle. So I'd say this episode as a whole was more grinding, more exploration than anything.
To the victor go the spoils.
So the victor go the spoils indeed. Still got 4 stars, so that's pretty good. And now onwards to whatever lies before us. Treasure chests, that's what lies before us. Thank you for rewarding me for all my hunting and searching. Though we didn't really get much from the treasure chests up above. But we're free, it seems. We're free.
You must be tired, huh?
We gotta sleep somewhere. This look okay?
Yeah. Fine by me. All set. Okay, good night.
Not a care in the world.
Oh!
What?
Do not cross this line. Understood?
Grow up.
And good night again.
Did you just go to sleep already? Still a kid.